My 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶, boyfriend 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗹, is upset that I have purchased a new dress for my work dinner. How can we move forward in a healthy way?
Plus 2 updates.
Me and my boyfriend are having a disagreement about my work conference. We have been dating for about a year. I have a work conference coming up in my local area. I started this job a few months ago, so this is my first time attending this conference. However, in my career field, I've been attending conferences for over a decade that involves a dinner on the last night. I asked my manager if we were allowed a +1 to the dinner, and she said no. This is only for the company employees. My manager mentioned that this will be a black tie event. I have a lot of beautiful dresses in my closet, some I've never worn. However, I don't have any floor-length gowns. I told my boyfriend I was going to Macy's to buy a new dress and he said I should wear something in my closet. I explained that I needed a new dress due to the dress code, and that I'm excited to buy a new dress and get glammed for a night. I very rarely get to get glammed up. He was upset and said he didn't understand why I had to buy a new dress. He told me he would talk to me later, and got off our FaceTime call. I went to the mall and saw several beautiful dresses in my price range of about $150. I texted my boyfriend and told him most of the dresses were 30% off, and I could probably find a great dress for under $100. I took a few pictures of dresses I saw to get his opinion, but he said he does not want to be a part of this process at all. I texted him back and told him that I understand and I would no longer involve him in this. The dress I picked is navy blue. I'm completely covered, no chest exposure or legs out, etc. I'm respectful of the dress I picked out and the fact that I'm in a relationship. About a week later, we talked about this subject again, and he was even more upset. He said he didn't understand why I wanted a new dress. I told him that when we met last year, he bought a brand new suit for his office Christmas party that he did not invite me to. He said that's different because a +1 was allowed, but I shouldn't buy a new dress and get glammed up if my significant other can't be there. Anyway, as I tried to defend my choice and point out how I am allowed to buy new clothes and get glammed up, he got upset again and told me he would talk to me the next day. Before he hung up, he asked me if I'm a leader or a follower. A few days later, he said,
"I thought you were looking for attention."
I was honestly hurt and shocked by this revelation. I'm dressing for the occasion and want to feel pretty for a night. I told him at our ages, I will not have someone policing my clothing and what I buy. I dress modestly all of the time. I'm mostly in jeans and t-shirts, and he tells me to dress up more often. He even asked me why I don't get a bit more dressed up to go to Target and the grocery store. I told him I like to be comfortable. We get to wear jeans in the office, so the only time I really get to dress up is dates with him and church. How should we settle this, come to a compromise, or move forward in a healthy way? Update: I just got back home from breaking up with him. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. I cried as I drove to his house and all the way back home. I'm taking a sleep capsule so I can force myself to go to sleep. I blocked him from my phone and all social media accounts. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice. Good night. Final update. Someone asked me about the breakup, and I put it in a comment, but here it is. I walked into his house with a few clothing items he had at my house. When he saw the clothes, he said,
"Wow, I thought you were coming over to talk, but you're coming over to break up with me."
I was already crying when I walked through his door. I was trying to compose myself. I told him that no matter what he'll do, it never seems good enough. I mentioned how I'm always so supportive of him and I constantly try to meet his needs, his love languages, his way of thinking, etc. He cut me off and said,
"You're breaking up with me, so let's stop this conversation."
In my head I said okay, but the words didn't come out of my mouth. He then said,
"All of this over a dress that you didn't need and still want to wear. I'm glad I didn't marry you because you always run away when I have an opinion."
He also said,
"Everybody has different opinions, but communication is key, not running away."
Inside, I secretly hoped he would see my tears and say to himself,
"Wow, I'm being so stupid right now. I'm losing the love of my life over a dress."
But he doubled down. He looked in the bag of the stuff I was returning and said,
"Well, okay then."
I looked at him for a second, then went ahead and walked out of the door. He texted me about 10 minutes later and said,
"Okay, I will give you what you want, sweetie. I hope all the best for you and your daughter. Let her know I love her."
I didn't reply, and that's when I blocked him. When I walked in the door, my daughter said,
"Mom, have you been crying?"
I said yes, and told her I would be going to bed and hopefully get some sleep. She asked me what happened, and I told her I broke up with him. She said she would cheer me up by showing me some of her favorite YouTube videos, and she gave me a hug. So at 3 a.m., the time I'm typing this, my daughter and my puppy are asleep in the bed with me. I feel deep sadness and a bit of relief. I no longer have to walk on eggshells anymore or explain myself to my boyfriend. But I loved him very much. I know all of the good times are going to play in my head for a while. I'm going to think of him every day for a while. I'm going to miss him. He's the first relationship I've had in the last 6 or 7 years. We cooked together, laughed together, sang together, watched movies, had dinner and movie dates. But he also tried to control who I talked to, who I hung out with, what I was eating, what I was wearing. He was critical of me, ignored me when he was angry, talked over me when I treated to explain my point of view. He knew I was kind when he met me, but he was trying to get me to not be so kind to other people because
"It doesn't make me feel special if you do for others the same things you do for me."
He asked me,
"How am I more special or set apart from other people?"
When we met, I was around 150 pounds. I got back down to my original weight of around 140, and he criticized it. That part I don't understand. When we would be having regular conversations, he would start lecturing me. He would ask what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When I would answer, he would start saying,
You need to be more disciplined.
when I would take a nap on the weekends, he would say,
You're not being productive.
if I didn't reply to his texts quick enough, he would be upset and ask why I didn't have my phone near me. He said I should take my phone from room to room, in case he urgently needs me. When I would FaceTime him before bed, in my comfy PJs, he would ask me,
Why don't you wear prettier PJs to bed?
honestly guys, I'm just exhausted. I didn't sleep well and mostly cried all night. I'm a mess this morning, but I'm working from home, so that's A+. I know this will get better with time. I'm not sure why I put up with this for so long. Relationships are complicated. There's so much good, and a bit of bad, and I just didn't know the right time to exit. When I'm asking Reddit for advice, and over 1K comments see the red flag behavior, when I've only shared a really small piece of my relationship, was a wake-up call. Thank you all.